Hey everybody. So, more than a few people have asked me to do this at this point. So what we're going to do today is a quick review of the Eachine Wizard X220, the original, and how it is to live with it as your primary quad. Okay, so like I said, the Eachine Wizard X220 is my primary quad. It is the quad I fly twice a week. In fact, it's my only quad at the moment. And a lot of people want to know what it's like to live with it. I mean, you get all these reviews about how it is, coming out of the box, how it flies, that kind of thing. Well, as you can see, mine's a bit different, and that's because I've made it easier to live with. So let's start with a quick overview here. It comes out of the box with some fairly good equipment. I mean, you're running 2205, 2300 kV motors. You get 10 sets of props, I believe it is. You know, it's 4-inch arms with side plates, 2mm bottom plate, 1.5mm top plate. It's got an Acro F3 flight controller, a proper PDB with 12 and 5 volt inputs, and it comes with a 700 TVL camera. Basically, you can pull it out of the box and just fly away. It's nothing amazing, it's mostly run-of-the-mill parts, but for the price, you can pull it out of the box and fly it, which is awesome. Let's jump down to the table here and we'll get into the specifics. Alright, so here it is. This is my Eachine Wizard X220. This is the original one, not the S version. So you'll notice mine looks just a little different from what you get out of the box. I've gone through a series of improvements. To start, I'm running Dualprop T5040 V2 tri-blades. They're nice and durable, which brings me to the first point. These stock props are not the best. It's awesome that you get a bunch of them, but they're not all that durable. I mean, they break pretty easy. They tend to explode if you look at them wrong. You'll notice I can just like bend it twice, bam, it's broken. So they're not the best, but they're good enough to get you up in the air and give you time to figure out what kind of props you really want. Working my way in, I've changed the ESCs out for something a little more hefty. The stock 20 amp, I have one here, there we go. The stock 20 amp ESCs aren't bad. They're basically racer stars just with a new sticker. They work great if you stick with the stock props and motors. However, they're rated for just a smidge over the amp draw of the stock props here. If you're going to change to a steeper, heavier prop like the Cyclones or Bullnose or anything like that, you're going to want to swap them out. I've gone personally with the Racer Star 30 amps. It's basically the same company here. They're totally capable with these motors, and you can run Cyclones, Bullnoses, things like that without any sort of issue. Alright, next comes the front and the back of the quad. Like I said, the original camera, the stock camera here, will get you running, but it's not the best. I've swapped it out for a Runcam Swift 2 up in here. And you can see it's a Runcam Swift 2. Which gave me an OSD and a much better picture. The old cam's here, of course, and versus the new one. I've also swapped the lens out for a GoPro 2.8mm lens, because that's just a view I'm much more used to with all of my GoPro work and everything. On the back of the quad, you'll notice a couple of differences too. I added a straight SMA adapter to the back of the VTX. You can just barely see it in there. I've got it covered in shrink wrap. And a TBS Triumph as opposed to the dipole that it comes with. That's because I kept breaking 90-degree SMAs and the cheapo antennas and hard crashes as I was learning. Now I don't really have to worry about that. You can see I can beat it up and it survives. Alright, for the last bit here, I've added a couple things just for personal preference. I've put broken props over the ESCs to protect them from prop strikes. As you can see, there's quite a bit of that goes on. All four of them have been hit by props a few times while crashing heavily. I've lengthened the XT60 pigtail because I hook up my batteries weird, apparently, and I need a bit more cable there. And I added a GoPro mount from BMC 3D. If you're going to run an HD camera, I highly recommend getting a quality mount printed. A lot of those cheap ones are really heavy, or they'll show up in your action camera view, so BMC does a pretty good job of that. Also, move your receiver antennas to the outside of the quad. These are just a couple of zip ties covered in heat shrink that are holding the actual cable up and out of the quad. The reason you want to do that is because the inside of the quad is shielded. Carbon fiber is a conductor, so you're not going to get as good reception until you pull the receivers out of the quad. Also, as you can tell, I have removed the side plates and I added a 2-inch top plate here. It's a bit thicker for rigidity. Only because I'm hard on quads and I tend to break them. Just a bit. So the frame is carbon fiber all the way through, so it's not too bad. Leave your side plates in as you learn, trust me on that. As you can see, I've made quite a few changes to this quad over the past few months. Would I recommend it in its stock form? Absolutely. For the price, the quad's a great learning platform, and it'll take just about any abuse you can throw at it. As well, when you do hit the limits of components, you can actually change them out for something that's a little more hefty, something that'll work better, something that'll work with your flying style as you get better on the sticks. Not only that, but you learn piece by piece how a quadcopter works by replacing the parts piece by piece, if and when they fail, if and when they're not good enough for you anymore. That being said, I don't think this will be much of a crazy 200-mile-per-hour racer or anything like that. It is quite heavy with its all-up weight. I mean, you can get up to over 700 grams just with battery, action cam, all that. And you may eventually hit the limits of the components and be left wanting more at some point. Not that you can't replace them and make it a totally different quad. Personally, I'm getting to that point myself, and a new build is in the works. However, I like the frame and the style so much that I'm actually looking at building something very similar, just a little bit more lightweight and a little more agile with a bit more power in the motors. Because I'm going to be replacing all of those pieces, I figure I'll keep this as my backup quad. This will be the one where, hey, I'm flying over water, hey, I'm flying at the beach, hey, we're going to put this in an underground lake. Yeah, we can fly this one because I'm not going to care as much about this one as I am the really expensive build. Which brings me to the biggest thing, the price. The price is awesome for the parts you get. I mean, it's like $170 right now, I believe, on Banggood, and you get a quad that you can literally pull out of the box and learn to fly, which is great. In fact, I recommend this one over the 220S, mostly due to the fact that this frame is full carbon fiber all the way through. Every piece is full carbon fiber. The new X220S frame, I've heard it's like got a foam interior with fiberglass with just a carbon fiber overlay on top of it, which isn't going to be nearly as strong, and you're much more likely to break it if you smash it into something. So if you're really confident in your flying skills, feel free to get the 220S, but if you're a beginner, I highly recommend the 220. But that's about all I have to say about that. So if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and leave me a like down below. And if you want to see my videos as they come out, click that subscribe button over there on my shelf. That'll help me out a lot too. But that's pretty much it, so I'll see all you guys and gals on the flip side.